Hey folks, I'm Rich. Welcome back to SITREP 101. I had posted to a few friends if they had an email, or I'm sorry, if they had a question they wanted some evaluation, or if they had a question on something, just to email me. So I got an email from a buddy of mine, or one of my web guys, and said, hey Rich, I just picked up a H&K PSP P7. I need a holster for it. What do you recommend? Okay, well, just happen to have a HK P7 squeeze cocker right here. Before I go any further, let's lock it back. Let's check and make sure it's not loaded. Do a little bit of a look and feel. Okay, so we're good to go. You know, when you go and you try to find a firearm that you want to carry, okay, and a lot of the guys will say, well, I want this to carry. It's a great gun. It's got great performance. It's got a good history. You need to figure out, can you get a holster for it? Before you go out and buy a gun, make sure if you're going to carry it, whether it be for personal protection or law enforcement or whatever the case may be as far as a backup weapon, not a duty weapon, make sure you can find a holster for it. And I'll tell you, the PSP's been around for a while. Hasn't been made for a few years. And fantastic firearm, but finding a generic mass-produced plastic holster or some type of a holster is really hard to find right about now. I mean, you can go to some of the leather masters like, you know, Lou Alessi, Matt Del Fade, Mitch Rosen, and you can have them make you a nice leather holster. You're going to be paying a couple extra dollars for it, or quite a few. And then, of course, you have to worry about scratching it or damaging it because you just got done paying a couple $100 for a nice holster. Anyways, so there are holsters available on the market for this gun right now, but there are some generic holsters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what's called a zero retention holster, a limited retention holster, single retention holster, and for the civilian market, double retention, triple retention is more on law enforcement. So we're going to kind of avoid that right now. So with that being said, I'm going to grab what is called a, this is a zero retention style holster, okay? It was specifically designed for a SIG Sauer. As you can see, it has the imprint of a 226 or a 220. But this is called the zero retention holster. And they're nice, they're comfortable, and drawing from the holster is quick and unobstructed. But the problem is, you ever take a header, you trip, you fall, or God forbid that you're in type of a struggle with somebody, not only will they be able to get the weapon from you if you're not retaining it, but if you fall during that scuffle, well, it's just pretty basic math, and you know, gravity's going to take over, it's going to fall out. So a lot of people wear these. Keep in mind, zero retention. Okay, now this will actually accommodate the PSP. All right, and I have on a few different occasions worn it like this, but keep in mind, I fall over, it's going to fall out. Okay, so one of the popular brands, most common brands that are on the market right now is a Fobus, or maybe even an Uncle Mike's, okay? Fobus and Uncle Mike's are a Kydex style polymer holster. You can either get it into what's a standard paddle holster, which is something that I prefer. It just slips down between the waistline, the pant line, and it has a retention screw on it. Now, limited retention, not zero, it's limited, okay? Which basically means with the adjustment of the screws, it takes a little effort for the gun to come out, okay? Now, it locks into place and it will hold it, but if you fall, there's still a chance it's gonna literally come sailing out of your holster. Embarrassing if you're in public, didn't mean to do it. Dangerous if it's at the wrong time. So, the Uncle Mike's and the Fobus holsters come in 3 or 4 different designs, but they are limited retention. Okay, retention screw holds the frame tight, usually gives a little bit of tension on the trigger guard, okay? Limited retention. And then you go into something that is single retention, okay? Which could be a pancake style holster like this, made by Bianchi. This is also another design made by Bianchi. It's a Model 82, but this has a retention thumb or retention release here. It's made out of a very heavy duty polymer. Very well done with a spring-loaded hinge system on it, okay? But I have a problem with this. Good design, but limited, okay? These thumb retention style holsters have been on the market for years. If you do decide to get one, Bianchi, Safari-Land, there's a whole bunch of different companies that make it. But they're going to be tough and stiff. So you got a couple different options. You can leave your firearm in the holster, secured in your safe, or if you have the luxury of a blue training gun, You can take a blue training gun, just leave it in there for a couple weeks, and eventually it's going to loosen up a little bit for you. So these are nice, and what's nice about these style pancakes, if you notice, it gives you a canter tilt forward or an FBI canter tilt, and it gives you a straight up and down, depending on how you like to carry, okay? Myself personally, I'm not crazy about behind the back, cross draw. I personally believe as if in center mass, 3 o'clock, shortest distance from the front of the body to the firearm. Your backup magazines at 9 o'clock, same thing, okay? I don't believe in having anything, magazines with the holster, and if you're going to carry that way, don't keep your cell phone here, trust me. You'll be trying to jam a Motorola into a magwell of a SIG or something. But anyways, thumb brake, single retention, so it's not going to come out. But the problem is, it will come out if that button is hit. Another one is, and this is one of my favorites, and it actually has a little slight design flaw, but it's one of my favorites, okay? This is called a Safariland ALS holster, okay? I'm not sure what the ALS stands for. I didn't do the research. I can pull one out of my butt and say automatic locking system, but it's a great design, specifically designed for law enforcement, okay? It's a very large body. It really protects the weapon. The paddle inside is large, which is nice because you don't feel it on the hip, where there are some smaller holsters, paddle holsters, that are kind of not as big and thick or even padded. But what I like about this system, and this is key, okay? This is also a retention system, single retention Blackhawk, okay? I'm going to show you the differences. When you go to draw down on your firearm, your hand makes a natural motion. It's basically you're spreading your hand open, whether your fingers are parted or if they're kept together. But when you go to draw down the firearm, your hand is in that natural position. Your fingers, your digits, have to contract naturally. But when you go out of the way to deactivate a single retention system, that will slow you down a bit, and it becomes almost unnatural for your grip. Now, anything that you carry, any holster, any design, I always say, shoot what you carry what you shoot, practice, practice, practice. Practice the draw, okay? I'm going to get back to this in a second, but I'm going to tell you one of the nice things I like about the ALS holster. The ALS holster has a deactivation lever right here that marries up with the thumb, and it locks into the hood of the barrel hood, or the barrel on the slide itself, okay? And it's a natural design because as my hand comes down and I wrap my hand around the grip, my thumb is right in that position to deactivate the lock. And it's so natural because there's no restriction. With a Bianchi, if you notice I'm coming down, I'm training one of my fingers to do an unnatural motion. And you know something? It takes a little bit of pressure. You don't want your index finger to be the deactivator because the index finger is the most important thing. You don't want to draw with your finger on the trigger, obviously, off trigger, off target, on trigger. So, but I do like the ALS system, okay, because it's a retention system, so if someone's trying to pull the firearm out of your holster, they won't be able to get it. It's large body, may not be good for the civilian carry. I do carry it. In fact, I use this for IDPA style shooting. But what's really nice is, once again, the natural position of the hand and where the thumb is, and I'm going to pull this over here, and you're going to see that right here is the thumb release, okay? And inside here it hooks onto the barrel. So as your hand comes down, your thumb naturally rests on here. And as you're pulling the weapon, as you start to squeeze, it's going to pull it out. It's all natural. And that's super key, okay? Because if you're carrying for defensive purposes, if you're carrying for even IDPA or IPSC style shooting and you need to drop in that holster super quick, you know, it's natural. Comes right out. I'm not trying to fight with it. I'm not trying to put that finger where I need to be to deactivate that locking system. Basically, it's in the holster, 3 o'clock, shortest distance from the center mass. It comes over, comes right up. Real quick, real simple, and it's positive. Blackhawk, love Blackhawk stuff. Gotta admit, okay? CQC Sherpa holster, nice design. What's nice about this is it's completely modular. It can go to a belt style mount, it can go to a paddle style mount, and it can be mounted on a leg platform such as this. Now, I was shooting some competitive shoots with this. Not really the best thing for competitive shooting, okay? It's tactical. But it's extremely modular. and which is better than some of the other holsters that are out there. But once again, if you look at the natural design, let's clear this one. It's clear, safe, decock it. Okay. Fits down into the holster, locks into place. Once again, if you watch the hand come down, and every time you pull your firearm out, your hand makes this movement. Comes down, okay? Thumb in the rear, just like the ALS, grips. Now you're training your your index finger to release that. Not a bad design, but not as natural and not as quick as the ALS. So I do like the ALS. Even though it's a bigger design, I do like it, okay? But once again, Blackhawk, totally modular. Inexpensive, works. Damage it, get another one. You buy an expensive leather holster, you'll be crying a little bit when you start to tear that sucker up, you know, you will. Love Blackhawk stuff. I get a lot of the stuff, I really do. But CQC holster, single retention, once again, won't be able to pull it out. God forbid you get into a situation, you fall, or you got an assailant or someone trying to take your piece, he knows you've got it in there, single retention, okay? So anyways, with that being said, that's a quick rundown of all the holsters that we have here. If you're going to buy a firearm based upon its looks, based upon its history, based upon if you're a fanatic when it comes to a certain manufacturer, do the research. Make sure, if you're going to carry the holster, if you're going to carry the firearm, make sure you can get a holster for it. Make sure that you train with that holster. If it's for personal protection, make sure you train. Train what you shoot, shoot what you train. And if you have to sit down one day in front of a wall with the firearm empty and you have to do practice drills and from a ready position, you know, and if you have to draw, draw. Don't look down at the holster, draw. Comes out. Back in. Until you get ready and until you get used to that one holster. Okay, so Safariland ALS, I like that holster a lot. Retention, zero retention, limited retention, single retention. That's the three for the civilian market. Double retention, triple retention. It's more for law enforcement. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks a lot for checking in. Any questions, email me at sitrep101@gmail.com. And before I leave, a little shout out to, actually, one other thing. Inside the waistband holsters, I actually forgot about this. I looked down real quickly. There are multiple ones out there. There are some that have single retentions. You want to find something that fits and something that works for you. This is a Quest leather holster. It's a nice size holster. It will accommodate a lot of the firearms. Uncle Mike's has been selling a Sidekick for years. Okay, there are some great pros and cons with the inside the waistband holster, but keep in mind, if you've got it covered with clothing, practice the draw. There are some inexpensive ones. I had one sent to me the other day by Luke at deadeyeluke.com. It's a polymer, extremely inexpensive, and what's nice, if you're down in the Florida area, he'll take any firearm you have and he'll custom mold this for you. And it's real inexpensive. I mean, extremely inexpensive. And Taurus TCP 380, clear it, nothing in it. And he sent this up for me. It is a nice, inexpensive inside the waistband holster, especially for a small backup firearm like a 380 or something like that. You can do some research on this if you want. Go to deadeyeluke.com. See what he's got there for holsters that are already made up. They're very inexpensive. Don't expect the highest degree of quality. But if you want something quick, fast, and easy, like can't find a lot of holsters for this, that fit the bill for me. And I appreciate it. Luke, thanks for sending it. I appreciate it. Once again, thanks a lot.